instant meal.
Absolutely.
The greens that are available on the coast seem to grow in abundance.
There's less competition for these plants on the coast. Not very many plants can tolerate the salt. So the ones that can romp away without the competition they'd have inland.
So there are coastal greens available throughout the winter. Like sea purslane, used by sailors around the world to prevent scurvy.
Marvellous plant. Hardly anybody uses it. It's amazing.
Or sea beet, a rich source of iron.
It tastes better than spinach. In fact, I really don't know why the green parts of this plant aren't sold in the markets.
Then there's sea radish, packed with magnesium, manganese, vitamin C, E and A, and other antioxidants. I get a real feeling that the knowledge and craft skills of these people gave them a sense of permanence. When you consider that flint was used as the bedrock of our technology for over 90% of human history, it's astonishing.
The whole beach is covered in flint, but what I'm looking for is flint that's quite fresh out of the cliff, because that won't have been bowled around in the surf and been fractured all over. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap the flint. If I tap it and listen to the ring. If it's a good piece, it should have a real crystal sound like that. That means there aren't so many flaws in the flint that will cause me problems.
Even so, when you open up a piece of flint, you never know what you're going to find. These fossils are often called inclusions, and they stop the shock waves passing exactly where I want them to go. I'm preparing a striking platform. It needs to be made robust by scraping, so creating a wedge from which I can strike blades.
That's what I'm after, blades like that. Each of these is like a razor blade, basically. Very useful.
It's flint that helps us to define the Mesolithic, the production of lots of little tools struck from the core rather than large tools made from the whole thing. Hunter-gatherers are often on the move, travelling from one resource to another. Reliable sources of food would have been of particular importance.
Rivers like this would have been vitally important. This is a salmon river. At the end of the summer, beginning of the autumn, salmon runs would force their way up this stream to spawn just a few kilometres upstream. And then later in the year, with the rains coming, you get the sea trout going up as well. And these are things their ancestors would have planted themselves beside to make full use of that food resource. They could have used spears or even traps woven from baskets like this.
Traps like this would have been used particularly in tidal rivers to catch all sorts of fish and even eels on the current and the incoming tide.
When I look in a river and I see a salmon, I see more than just a fish. I see an ambassador of the wild, a litmus by which we can judge the health of that natural environment, an environment that we still depend on today.
I've got a bit of a hunch. I want to experiment with the use of rock samphire, and for that I'm going to use a piece of lime bark, an eel, and one of my flint blades.
Today a lot of people will grab hold of the skin with a pair of pliers and pull straight down, but I'm taking my time. I want to do a careful job over it because I'm going to keep the skin intact so that when I've taken the skin most of the way off, I'm then going to clean the eel and stuff it with the rock samphire and close it back up again. So I want to keep this skin in good condition so that it will seal in all of the juices from the cooking. So I'm going to take my time. Again, when I've worked with indigenous groups around the world, there's really very little rush normally in the butchering of animals. Time is taken and a great deal of respect is shown to the animals that are used for food. It's coming down nicely now. Most of our waterways contain eels, would have been important for food in the past. The skins were also important, very tough skin. They were used to make the hinges on flails and even sometimes on doors. Like putting on a handle on a cricket bat. What I want to do is to cover the eel as much as possible with the hot sand here and with ashes to exclude oxygen. If I don't do that, the eel will burn. The skin burns quite readily and it'll burn before the fish is cooked through. So if I cover it in, that should make all the difference. I'll put the embers over it like that, keep the fire to one side, cover it with the embers and cook that for about 1 hour.
There's no point wasting a fire like this. It's the perfect opportunity to try cooking the sea kale.
It's quite a good haul there.
It is, for several people.
Over there, let's just stick a couple in.
But if they're as good cooked as they are raw, that'll be quite something.
Yeah. I think one of the things that's interesting is that the type of wood that we're burning, using these small bits, gives us an intense heat and changes the speed of our cooking.
So there's several controls involved here, several variables.
There are lots of variables. Fire is infinitely adaptable to your needs. I've even seen in a community where a group of men were cooking one animal, one man saying, "No, can you give me a bit so I can cook it a slightly different way?"
Oh, right.
Different preferences. Let's see how we're doing here with that's the eel. So I'm going to try and get it out now. That looks fine.
Yeah, it looks excellent.
I'll give you a little bit of...
Many thanks.
I think that will be hot.
Yes,
So.
I'll believe you.
Oh. Oh, it's very nice.
Oh, it's just cooling down a bit now. Oh.
How is it?
That's good.
Can you taste any sunflower though?
I can actually, yes. There's a samphire taste to it. It's good.
Try a bit of the samphire. Yeah.
Thanks.
That is greatly improved. That has become a green, hasn't it?
It has. This is really
And it's wilted beautifully.
It's just about right.
It's almost like it's been wilted and sort of cooked in clarified butter with the fat.
It is. I know many people do eat it boiled, and enjoy it, but this is a much more subtle flavour.
That's delicious.
A very good green one.
You could put that on a menu in a top restaurant. Maybe not served up quite like this. But
We set out to use rock samphire as a flavouring, but succeeded in transforming the flavour of the samphire itself more than the eel.
I reckon those look... I think we can try one, shall we?
Shall I do that?
Smell that.
That smells good. That smells like real food.
It does, doesn't it? It's funny, isn't it? There's a definite smell of what's edible and what isn't, and I think that was an important diagnostic tool, if you like.
I'm sure so.
When our ancestors were first exploring foods, we can identify lots of chemicals with our sense of smell. I thought we were going to have to scrape it, but we can actually peel the rind off.
If we can.
It comes off really well. And there's the core. Now that's hot.
It is hot.
It's the steam.
Oh, personal branding going on here.
You know what's happening there? You're just reliving. You're reliving probably what a 3 or 4 year old did for the first time sometime.
Yes, thanks, Ray. That's very reassuring.
You're soft.
This is softer, and yes, there is the difference in taste is suggesting